So here we are now at video number 26. So, are you convinced? Have you been examining this particular time when families all around the world are being divided and separated? And that some people have been taken away out of a place of darkness and they're now being brought into His wonderful light? And as that future audience of excommunicated Christians, are you convinced in regards to evidences concerning sin? A sin that's so reprehensible, the original sin, the exact same kind of sin that Eve in the Garden of Eden committed. Millions now living will never die. You positively will not die. Are you convinced that that's a sin, a transgression that will be guaranteed to cause desolation? Are you convinced? But what about the truth? Are you convinced that as you make this journey down the rabbit hole, you're learning truths that are very new? All things are new. And what about judgment? Are you convinced that we are now indeed being judged by everything we say and do? That the house of God, the booth of David, is the first to be judged, and that a decision was made in the heavens regarding you, a decision that God Himself made and that you had nothing to do with. It's just through His mercy that that decision was made, and you were chosen, selected. Are you convinced? Is there convincing evidences that you can see that it's just through His mercy? So, what else? Are you convinced we're living during the end times, where Jesus Christ Himself said the righteous would be separated from the wicked? Are you convinced we're living during the time of the end? In fact, the very final part of the days when matters would be set straight regarding many peoples, and those matters would be set straight through the truth, through convincing evidences concerning sin, concerning righteousness, the truth, and concerning judgment. So the rest of the ex-Jehovah's Witness community would like to think that there's nothing important happening here. It's just a cult. So if you're still here at video number 26, then I'm going to guess that you're becoming very convinced that we're living in the final part of the days when Jehovah will indeed show the entire world just how powerful He really is. So, how powerful is He? Do you think perhaps Jehovah really does have a son named Jesus Christ, who also is very powerful, perhaps powerful enough to come as a thief to steal people? And yet no one would notice? To divide families and take people out of them and bring them into his wonderful light? Hundreds of thousands of people taken away and no one notices? Is Jesus Christ really that awesome? Could he have done it to you? All those circumstances in your life that led up to your being disfellowshipped? Was he that intimately involved in your own life that he could pull all of that off through his angels that divided your family? And just through God's mercy now, you've been selected and taken away? So just how powerful is Jehovah? Well, I'm going to read a scripture. It's in Isaiah chapter 66. And you're already very familiar with verse 5. Your brothers that are hating you, excluding you by reason of God's actual name of person, is no longer one of Jehovah's witnesses. So is it these people that will begin to appreciate just how powerful Jehovah really is? And instead of his name being dishonored, is it through these people that Jehovah's name will be beautified? I'm going to read the last few verses of Isaiah chapter 66 and see where all of this is leading. I'm going to start in verse 22. For just as the new heavens and the new earth that I am making are standing before me, is the utterance of Jehovah, so the offspring of you people and the name of you people will keep standing. And it will certainly occur that from new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh will come in to bow down before me. Jehovah has said. And they will actually go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that were transgressing against me. For the very worms upon them will not die, and their fire itself will not be extinguished. And they must become something repulsive to all flesh. Wow. So, what about the people in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community who don't think anything important is happening here? Who think it's just a cult? And that perhaps Jehovah's not powerful enough to have done all the things I've so far explained in the past 25 videos. Will they come and bow down before Jehovah? And will they do it with rejoicing or with shame? Those are the only two alternatives I can see.
because it says all flesh will come and bow down before Jehovah. So would it be better to do that with rejoicing or with shame? Or even worse, to be put to shame by a fire that will not be extinguished? So, is it now? Are we now living during that time when Jehovah will show the world just how powerful he really is? If you've come this far down the rabbit hole, you should be waking up to that fact and seeing that, yeah, he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, with whoever he wants. And when everyone can come to terms with that, their knees will bend. They will bow down to Jehovah. So, is that what he's going to do with that future audience of excommunicated Christians? To use them to beautify his name and to help the rest of the world understand just how powerful he really is? So now I'm going to go to Romans chapter 9, and you already know the scripture in verse 25. Those not my people, I will call my people. So why is he doing all of this? So now I'll read Romans chapter 9, and I'll start in verse 14. What shall we say then? Is there injustice with God? Never may that become so. For he says to Moses, I will have mercy upon whomever I do have mercy, and I will show compassion to whomever I do show compassion. So then it depends not upon the one wishing, nor upon the one running, but upon God, who has mercy. Now listen to this part. For the scripture says to Pharaoh, for this very cause I have let you remain, that in connection with you I may show my power, and that my name may be declared in all the earth. So then, upon whom he wishes, he has mercy. But whom he wishes, he lets become obstinate. So which one are you? Can you see how powerful Jehovah really is? Or do you perhaps think he's not powerful enough to do all these things during the final part of the days? And that perhaps it's just a cult. And so, does Jehovah need a lot of people to show the world just how powerful he really is? Or does Jehovah need just a few people to show the world how powerful he really is? Does he need 2 billion Christians to show the world how powerful he is? Or just a very small, esoteric group of hated, reproached, and persecuted Christians who his Son Jesus Christ has divided off from their families, and no one noticed? How powerful is Jehovah? So, who are those people that Jehovah allows to become obstinate? Well, let's read further down in Romans chapter 9, the chapter where it says, "Those not my people, I will call my people." And if you go to verse 32, it says, "They stumbled on the stone of stumbling, as it is written, Look, I am laying in Zion a stone of stumbling and a rock mass of offense. But he that rests his faith on it will not come to disappointment." So, where was that written? It said, "As it was written." Well, let's go find out. Here it is in Isaiah chapter 28. And I'll start in verse 16. "Here I am laying as a foundation in Zion a stone, a tried stone, the precious corner of a sure foundation. No one exercising faith will get panicky. And I will make justice the measuring line, and righteousness the truth, the leveling instrument, and the hail must sweep away the refuge of a lie, and the waters themselves will flood out the very place of concealment." Who's being hidden? "And your covenant with death will certainly be dissolved, and that vision of yours with Sheol will not stand. The overflowing flash flood, when it passes through, you must become for it a trampling place." Isaiah chapter 28. The Apostle Paul is quoting Isaiah chapter 28. The rulers who made a covenant with death. Millions now living will never die. You positively
will not die. So, where else is this stone in Zion quoted? Peter. Let's go read that again. Peter chapter 1, 1 Peter chapter 2. And 1 Peter is the letter that Peter wrote to those who were given a new birth. A birth with labor pains. I'll start in chapter 2, verse 7. It is to you, therefore, that he is precious, because you are believers. But to those not believing, the identical stone that the builders rejected has become the head of the corner and a stone of stumbling and a rock mass of offense. These are stumbling because they're disobedient to the word. To this very end, they were also appointed. He lets them become obstinate. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for special possession, that you should declare abroad the excellencies of the one that called you out of darkness and into his wonderful light. For you were once not a people, but are now God's people. Those not my people, I will call my people, and her who was not beloved, beloved. And in the place where it was said to them, you are not my people, there they will be called sons of the living God. How powerful is Jehovah? All flesh will bow down